Appointment setting. You've heard about it before. It's become this buzzword you hear so often, and you see people making hundreds of dollars a day with it. But what actually is appointment setting? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what an appointment setter does and how to become really, really good at this. So, firstly, before I go through any of that, I just want to show you what an appointment setter actually is and what they do. So, I'm going to use myself as an example. As an appointment setter, you will probably work with a coach, right? And if you don't know why that is, just wait a minute. But for example, I'm a coach. I teach people appointment setting. I have students making 3K to 6K. I have some students making more too. So I myself am a coach and I do my own appointment setting. So when someone messages me on Instagram, I book them in for a call. I essentially set them in for an appointment. And there's a 3-step funnel I use to do that. You have this beautiful funnel here, and then you see qualifying the prospect, step 1. Step 2 is booking a call, and step 3 is report building. When you become so busy as a coach, you want to hire people to delegate tasks to, like appointment setting, that are better than the skill at you, so they can book in more calls and essentially make you more money while you pay them out commissions or a base pay or both. For example, I do my own appointment setting right now because it would be ironic not to. But when someone messages me on Instagram that are interested in my coaching, that want to learn more about my coaching, I essentially do this 3-step funnel. I qualify them, I book them in for a call, and then I build rapport. And I know you're thinking, why do you have to book in a call second and then build rapport? Stick with me and you'll see why. And then when I book them in for a call, obviously they're already qualified, I've already built rapport. And then I get on a call with them and I close them for my mentorship program. This is the first part of the sales funnel. So, what I'm going to go through now is the first part, qualifying. Your job as a setter is to essentially book calls. And if you book everyone in, you'll waste your time, you'll waste your team's time, and you will not get paid. Let's say you work 4 hours a day as a setter and you book in 5 calls. If you book in 5 calls and they're all really, really qualified, if one closes for a 3K program, you make $150. But if you book in 10 calls and none of them are qualified, you're not making any money because you're not on, maybe you are on a commission, but you're not getting paid any commissions because nobody is buying because nobody's qualified. So your job is to book calls. You need to make sure they're actually qualified leads, though. So to financially qualify them or qualify them as a whole, make sure if they get on the call, they can actually afford it. You cannot just say, do you have $10,000? Because if you messaged me and I replied with that, you wouldn't reply to me. You would just leave me unseen. So to figure out if you're actually qualified, you want to have a proper conversation and you want to ask them questions. Your job as an appointment setter is to figure out if the lead can actually afford the program, if they're a good fit for the program, if they'd want to start now, and if it actually makes sense to, right? You're having a conversation, that's all you're doing, and you're throwing some questions in the mix. So where are you from and what do you do for a living? This is the first question you'll ask. And this is financial qualification. If they're in the US, they probably have money. If they're in the third world country, they probably do not. And if they're a college student, they do not have money, you can assume. But if they're a doctor, they do have money, right? This is how you look at it as an appointment setter. This is how you think. The next part, step 2, is figure out their goals. What has you interested in making money online and why? Why are you interested in appointment setting and what has you interested in it, right? Well, I want to make money with appointment setting because of this, and I really want to make money because of this. Okay, cool. Now you figure out their goals. If they didn't give you enough input, you can ask them to dig deeper or elaborate. And if they did, then beautiful, you move on. What made you decide to reach out now and not a month later? This is urgency. This is what you want to do as well, because if you book them in for a call, you want to make sure they buy. You want to increase the likelihood of the closer closing the deal. You're booking in the call, the closer's closing the deal. You want to work side by side with them. So when you build that urgency, what made you decide to reach out now and not a month later? They're going to say, oh, I'm just so sick of not making money online. I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of that. And then you work with that. You say, I totally get it. It's really difficult when you're not making money or whatever it is. And then when you book them in for a call, it's going to be way easier because now they're in the state of, I'm sick of waiting. I want to do this now. When they get on a call, they already have urgency built up. So these questions will help you find out if they can afford it, what their goals are, and why they want to start now. That's everything you need, essentially. Now, the next part, I'm going to put myself here, is booking calls. So they've shared their goals and why they want to start now. This is the perfect time to book a call because they're emotional and they're open to the idea of help. When people are emotional, they're open to the idea of help. You can only help those that want help. So if they're open to the idea of help because they're emotional, because you've asked the right questions, you've had a proper conversation, you can pitch a call and they'll be happy to do it. If they're really fragile, I guess, and you ask these questions and they're not opening up and you try pitch a call, they're not going to be open to it because they're not emotional enough to accept the fact that they want help. So in this call, the closer will sell them the program. In this day and age, people hate being sold to, so instead frame it like this. Would you be open to getting on a call with my head coach or my student success manager, whatever it is, to learn more about how we can help you get to X goal with X program? Your script might be different, by the way. So this is what you could do. If it is the closer closing, you could just target them as a head coach or a student success manager because people do not want to be sold to. So if you say, get on a call with my closer, they're going to be like, fuck you. But if you say head coach, that sounds way better. If it's the offer owner, you could just say me. Would you be open to getting on a call with me later this week? Because you're pretending to be the coach, essentially, right? So, like I said, your script may be different. You may have to ask something else, but this is the best way. I've noticed for my management clients, for my students, and for myself, this is the best way to pitch a call. If they agree, you can send them a calendar, then say this. I'll hang in here for a moment until you book. I want to send you some resources that will be super valuable for you before I head off in a few minutes. So they're like, okay, this guy's leaving in a few minutes. I should probably book now. And then you don't need to worry about having them not book and having to follow up with them for the next week. Over time, you're going to face the issue of people taking ages to book in. So this message above is a complete game changer. Trust me. So I'll hang in here for a moment until you book. I'm just going to wait, give you a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is. You go ahead, book in. I'm going to make sure everything's good on my end, whatever it is. And then I will send you some material. And that could be a VSL. That could just be a video for them to watch after the call, whatever it is. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. You don't need to know. Once you hop on an offer, you're going to see what I mean. So booking calls. Now report building. Booking them in is half the job. You might have heard that before. The other half is actually getting them to show up. So in the final stage, your goal is to build a rapport and trust with the lead. I'm going to put myself here. Your goal is to ensure they do not forget about the call or skip the call. These are two different things. Forget or skip. So suggestions to avoid forgetfulness. You book the leads in for as soon as possible, so if you book them in for a week from now, they're going to forget, especially if it's not a big priority. So if you book them in for tomorrow, they're not going to forget because it's tomorrow. Book the leads in for as soon as possible. You can do constant follow-up, so the day before, the day of, an hour before. You don't want to annoy them too much with follow-ups, but you can say, hey, you're still good for that call, or hey, see you on that call in an hour. Whatever it is. And send pre-call material, if applicable. Like I said, your VSL or a video they need to watch before the call. Like I said, don't worry about this. You'll learn more about this on your offer. Suggestions to avoid skipping. You can see, like I said, these are two different things, so I have two different parts. Continue the conversation after booking them in to show you care. So ensure you dig deep enough in the qualification process so you know this is important for them, too important for them to skip. Because if they tell you they're sick of living the life they live, they're going to show up to the call. Right? For example, if it's a fitness offer and they talk about how they hate not being in shape or they're fat or whatever it is, they're upset, they're depressed because of their weight, you best know, well, you know that they're going to show up to the call because it's such a big matter for them. But if they don't care, they're not going to show up. So you need to make sure their goals are big enough and the urgency is so important that they will show up to the call. So continue the conversation after booking them in to show you care. You can talk about where they live, why they're doing this, what has them interested. You can continue the conversation however you want. You want to make sure they don't forget you. And the best way to do that, I should say, is to make them remember you and like you. So if you want, yeah, I'm tweaking, but you want to make sure they don't forget you. The best way to do that is to make them remember you and like you. And that's by having a real conversation and making them feel like a unique case and just being a real person. People like real people. So your show up rate should always be above 80%. Otherwise, you're doing something wrong, honestly. Let's do some quick math. Because you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I can't make money with this. Well, how much money can I make? And you have all these questions around your head. I'm going to answer a few of them for you. So just so you know, I'm doing the bare minimum and I'm also rounding down. But if you book in 3 calls a day, just 3, which is like the minimum, 2 or 3 should be the minimum. You could honestly book in 5 or 6 a day easy. But if you book in 3 a day and you only work 5 days a week, so you take 2 days off a week, you've booked in 60 calls every single month. And if the show up rate is 80%, like we said, 80% should be what you're doing, that's 48 calls. So you're booking in 60, 48 of them show up. But let's say your closer, the person you're booking calls for, closes at 30%, which is like the minimum. In the industry standard, if someone is closing at 30%, that's like average. But then you get closers doing 50, 60, 70. I'm closing at 80, 85% for my own offer. So if you have a good closer, you could be making a lot more than this. But rounding down, that's about 14.4 sales a month. But well, let's just say 14. So the closing rate's 30%, 48 calls are happening that are showing up to the calls. Closing rate's 30%. You're getting 14 sales. Off every sale, you get a percentage of the money. Let's say the percentage of the money is 5%, which is average. The product is $3,000, which is average. You get $150 every single sale, but you got 14. So if you get 5%, which is average, over time you can get 7.5. Once you get really good, some people get 10. You just made $2,100. And that's if you did really, really average. So imagine you and the closer do good. Imagine you do good. You're making a lot more than $2,100. Seb here made $400 on the day. Keitano here made $400 on the day, I believe. Teddy made $485 on the day. Ricky made $325. Seb did $360. Missed a sale, should have been $660. Angelo made $750. Nate made $225. So $2,100 is very doable because you have people here making $700 in a day, $485 in a day, $300 in a day, weekly paychecks being made in a single day with appointment setting. You have 4 of these decent days. For example, if you made $400 in a day 4 times in a month, you made $1,600. So imagine, okay, 4 times, $1,600, $2,100 is extremely achievable if you have a decent offer and you're a decent setter. Honestly, it's not that difficult. These are all my students, by the way. These are individuals that have been taught by me who started setting not long ago, some a month ago, some 2 months ago, some 3 months ago, that are absolutely crushing it, making very good money with appointment setting. Some of them doing anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 per month. So I make content all about appointment setting. So if you go on my channel, make sure to leave a like, subscribe. You can comment if you want to, and go ahead and watch all that content. My goal with my content is to make it better than every other appointment setting program, and then make my program even more insane. So leave a like, comment, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video where I just talked about appointment setting, broke it down for you. Make sure to check out my other videos as well, like I said, and I will see you later. Peace.